o'clock. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the February Greater New Haven WPCA Board meeting to order. It is Wednesday, February 10th at 6 p.m. Debbie, would you read the roll call, please?
Ray Salton.
Here.
Salvador DeCola.
Present.
Barbara Felsigno.
Here.
Raymond Pompano.
Present.
Stephen Mangillo.
Here.
Russell Sear.
Here.
Jeffrey Ginsburg.
Here.
Clayton Williams.
Here.
Michael Finiani.
Here.
Good. Glad everyone could make it. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Mike, second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Bob. I'll give everyone a second on the minutes.
Somebody else on?
No, I was looking for Scott. I don't see him.
Does anyone currently have any corrections, additions, any omissions?
That's Bobby.
Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The minutes pass. Public participation. Do we have anyone joining in?
I don't think so.
No.
No? Okay. Item 3 is presentation of the audit by Scott Bassett. Is he ready to do that, Gabe?
I don't see him online. I think we told him 6:15. So let's proceed, Steve, and then we can come back to him if he gets on at 6:15. Scott? No, he's not on. So let's keep going, and then if he gets on, we'll come back to him.
Okay. We'll go on to item 4 then. Clayton?
Item 4, resolved that the agreement with Jacobs Engineering, Inc. for on-call professional engineering services for wastewater treatment and other engineering services as further described in the exhibit to agenda item number 4 in the aggregate amount not to exceed $757,386 is hereby approved, and the executive director, Sidney J. Holbrook, be and hereby is authorized, empowered, and directed for and on behalf of the authority to negotiate, execute, and to deliver such agreement and any and all reasonable and necessary documents in furtherance thereof.
Thank you. Do I have a motion on this?
So move. I'll make your motion for you.
Okay, well, you can second it. Joyce is making the motion. Thank you both. Tom, you're going to cover this one?
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Chairman. How you doing, everybody?
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
This proposal, I'm getting a little feedback. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. This proposal's for planning service for a long-term control plan update that's required by our consent order on a every 5-year basis. We're approaching 5 years. We've selected Jacobs off our list of on-call approved consultants. Jacobs is formerly CH2M Hill. CH2M Hill has done did our original long-term control plan with the City of New Haven, did the updated City of New Haven long-term control plan back in 2008, did the last update, and the same group, albeit with a different name, Jacobs Associates, was chosen to provide this proposal. This proposal is the last update we did some hydraulic modeling, if you remember. The fee was probably twice as much as this, or nearing that, if you include the hydraulic model. This, we're going to focus on looking at the plant, some of the aspects of the next upgrade, some of the things that maybe we didn't address in the last update, like climate change, the downstream profile of the tailwater elevation coming out of the plant, verifying the hydraulics through the plant, looking at the different increase in pump capacities of both the Boulevard and East Street pump stations as it relates to the future upgrades and be able to maximizing flow to the treatment plant. Revisiting some of the things from the last update and an inspection of the outfall. So the total fee for that, as you can see there, is an amount not to exceed or $757,000 in change. We're still in the process of negotiating this. This is a draft proposal. So we're asking that we bring it to the board at a not to exceed as we further refine that scope. This is going to be packaged with another project that I'm going to propose to you in a few minutes. It's going to be a 55% planning grant. That means 55% is going to be grant money from the Clean Water Fund. The remaining 45% will be paid out of our capital account, approved on an annual basis. That's it.
Okay, I'd like to remind everybody, this long-term control plan goes back 20 years or more. So the updates every 5 years are really kind of critical in terms of continuing to look at the purpose, where we're going, I guess how we've done. I have a question for Tom. In terms of perspective here, is the onus on us or DEEP, say, if things change, technology changes, or kind of strategy changes on the purpose of this whole plan, because there's millions of dollars involved. Are we the ones through this planning that you're currently asking for that we revise how we're going to proceed?
Yeah, it's a great question. And this is something that Gary and I and Gabe and Sid, we talk about all the time. And it's important that it is our plan. It's the city of New Haven's plan. Sometimes DEP, not so much recently, but in the past, they kind of get in the middle of it and they kind of question us on our expertise. But I think we've proven ourselves with DEP. They see we've provided really good value. We've gotten good results. So I think right now we're in a good spot with DEP, as Sid has attested to recently in a lot of the conversations with them. So they're, I think, listening to us. Our consultants operate as an extension of our staff. The consultants don't dictate what we do. We use them as a resource beyond the expertise we have here. We have the luxury to have a great staff, a lot of smart people, and some talented operators down there. So I like to say that, we steer the ship and provide that, it gets fed in with the expertise from the consultants. And DEP, they may question things, but generally we have answers for them, and we're always looking to do the thing that's of most value.
Okay, obviously they're tracking to make sure that you did do what you said you were going to do, first of all.
Correct.
The other thing about that is, I go back with this, and I've always had this concern from the beginning, that what we were spending actually produced something. We weren't just doing work. I guess part of the original concept was just to separate the sewer so that we could avoid overflows. But, other people did that and found out they didn't impact the receiving waters because stormwater had so much pollution in it. So would you say currently the things that we're planning and doing are still, worth the dollars we're spending on them?
Yeah, we've gotten away from the approach that you spoke about with just simply separating. We kind of parted ways with that the last update, and we worked into that. And I think that's one of the things that we've shown DEP we're extremely adept at, is putting the smallest dollar amount to get the biggest effect. And I think we've knocked out a lot of the low hanging fruit. So now we're going to work on like larger projects like the East Street pump station project, the Boulevard pump station project. Realistically, in the next 5 years, we're going to be working on that East Street pump station project. Maybe we launch the Boulevard in that time, but so there's not going to be a lot of changes to the overall long-term control plan. So that's one of the things we're working on right now with this scope, is trying to get value over the things that are going to get documented in this, are going to get it written down, and that we're actually getting value out of the resources we're getting from Jacobs. We're not just spending money to put a bunch of words on a shelf. So we actually are getting the operations guys, we get to use this information as tools as we move forward. Even if the updates that we are doing to the plan aren't going to happen for a number of years, we're prepared for them. We don't waste capital money on something that we may be updating when we do a plant upgrade. So it's a challenging balancing act, but I think 5 years may not be a perfect timing to do that. That's what DEP had to put something in there, and we came to the agreement. Ideally, maybe it would have been 7 or 8, but this is what we have to deal with, and I think we're going to make the best of it. So.
Okay. Now, with this separation we've done, one of the benefits we've had is that we've reduced the flooding from storm events. To what degree do you think we've accomplished that?
That's not, we're not, the long-term control plan doesn't address flooding, street flooding.
Well, with the separation, we correct some of that, don't we?
No. As much
Okay.
with it. The separation really is to just separate the storm flow from the sewage. And then, as you had said before, the new concept is to bring more stormwater to the plant for treatment because it's dirty. So the discussion is how much flow to maximize to the plant for treatment. And I guess right now, and Tommy or Gary, correct me, the latest discussion is 165 million gallons to the plant for treatment, both storm flow and sewage treatment.
Okay. Is New Haven still experiencing some flooding?
It's not.
Flooding has nothing to do with the long-term control plan.
That's
Okay. I'm wondering how it gets addressed then, by New Haven or
Flooding is a stormwater issue. It's only dealt with the stormwater, the lines that are not combined.
okay.
That's a city issue.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Other questions for Tom? No question, no other comments, questions?
No.
I'll call for a vote on this then. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We're on to item 5.
Hey, Steve, I think that Scott joined our meeting. Scott, are you here? Ernie, is he on?
I don't think so.
Not yet.
He keeps, his phone number is flashing, but then it doesn't ever answer.
Someone is on, someone joined.
We could, it's 6:13, so we could wait a minute, see if he connects.
Yeah,
We
it
want to
says,
make sure it's him.
yeah, but it says add to unmute. He's not added, so he's not unmuted. Let him in.
He's not, he's in already. I already admitted him.
But his phone, see, it's got the slash through it?
Yeah,
Well, he did that.
that's him. I'm asking him to unmute.
Okay. Oh, ask to unmute. I'm sorry. I thought it said add.
No,
We don't know
no.
if it's Scott though.
He's the only one we expect.
Well, unless it's somebody from the public.
Okay, well, let's,
603 area code.
603 area code is that where Scott?
No, it's 860-331.
860, I'm sorry. Yeah, 860-331-0048.
Probably him.
all right, well then let's keep going, Steve. We'll go to 5, I guess.
Okay, item 5, Clayton.
Okay, item 5. Give me one sec. Item 5, resolved that the agreement with AECOM Technical Services, Inc. for on-call engineering services in connection with the implementation of a sewer system evaluation survey in the Mill River Sewer Shed Meter Area 6, 13, and 19, as further described in the exhibit to agenda item number 5, in the aggregate amount not to exceed $595,000 is hereby approved, and the executive director, Sidney J. Holbrook, be and hereby is authorized, empowered, and directed for and on behalf of the authority to negotiate, execute, and to deliver such agreement and any and all reasonable and necessary documents in furtherance thereof.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second for you.
Thanks, Bob. Tom?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. This again is a planning services. We selected AECom from our list of on-call consultants. They provided a project manager for this job that has worked on several SSCSs for us in the past. So we felt that was a good marriage. This is, as I'm going to review, as you may recall, in II studies, doing it for DEP or in accordance with their requirements, you require a phase 1 study, which is a larger study of an area, and then the phase 2 study, which is this part of the study, the SSES. That phase 1 identifies certain areas to look into further. This phase 2, it will be working in areas of 6, 13, and 19 in Hamden along the Mill River sewer shed. It includes about 73 miles of pipe. Actually, it's almost 100 miles of pipe total. 50,000 feet of CCTV inspection and flow monitoring will be included. We're going to inspect about 310 manholes. In the end, we'll identify areas of heavy II, and from that report, we'll further move forward with a phase 3 project, which is ultimately design and construction of mitigating that I&I, which ultimately is kind of a triple bottom line benefit for us, because we get renewal of infrastructure, we get removal of II, and we get it done at a very cost-effective manner with a low-interest loan through the Connecticut DEP Clean Water Fund. It also benefits us to be in their program from not only DEP, but the EPA, when they ask kind of what we've been doing to improve our system. And we get to show another program that we have that dovetails into our CMOP program. The total amount for the services is a not to exceed $595. A good portion of that is a lot of field work, like CCTV, which has to have some cleaning involved while they do it, and inspection services by the consultant. So, you have any questions?
Questions for Tom? Tom, I'd like to just do all of these areas drain into the pipe we just replaced on Whitney Avenue?
Yeah, I believe so. Most of them do, yeah.
Okay.
Have we previously, the upper portions, definitely.
Have we previously approved any evaluation under the Mill River there to the Dixwell Avenue side?
To the Dixwell, to the same interceptor? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm just wondering, my concern is any pipe that goes near that river, it's really critical.
Yep.
Because of the water supply and the plant right there.
Yep.
So have we?
Well, I do want to speak to the most recent failure we had. There's a little update. I think Sid might have given you a brief update in the past, but just to give you a further update, we recently, or I say we, operations and their contractor recently completed inspection of 7,500 feet of pipe north of where the break occurred, adjacent to the dam there in Whitney Avenue. We just completed the inspection. We've fully evaluated. The pipe is overall in, I'd say, good to moderate condition. What we've decided to move forward, we're moving forward with an II project that I'm going to bring to you in a couple months. Not an II project, I'm sorry, a lining project I'm going to bring to you in a couple months. We've divided that 7,500 feet into 3 segments. We're going to do 2,500 feet of lining on the lower part, just north of the break. We're going to bid that in the next month. And then we're going to do the next 2,500 feet in 5 years, and then the following 2,500 feet in 10 years. And then that main interceptor there will be fully upgraded. And we're going to be way ahead of yeah, the degradation of that pipe. I think we're in good shape overall. I think that's a reasonable approach. At one time, we were talking about lining that entire 7,500 feet, but after looking at it, it's just not. We have to put value behind everything we do, and it's just, we would be replacing a perfectly good pipe on the upper end if we did it right now.
Okay,
So we're looking at that, Steve. To speak to exactly where you're thinking, I'd have to, I could talk to you offline and get into the details, but
yeah, we'll do that. Okay, appreciate that. Any other questions for Tom? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay, we're on to item 6.
Let's see, somebody joined. Scott, are you on? Can you hear whoever that is, Ernie? Hear us?
Should be able to.
Do you have his number, Gabe? Can you call him?
I do not have his number,
Where's Louis?
but I can email, so I will email.
I can't go.
All right, well, we'll just keep moving along, Steve.
Yeah, if he doesn't make it tonight, we'll just
Yeah, that's
reschedule.
fine. We get him into next meeting.
Item 6, Clayton.
Item number 6, resolved that the Planning Study Clean Water Fund grant application and agreement with the State of Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection for Clean Water Fund grants in an amount up to $1,380,000 relating to 1, Project CWF 2021-03, CSO Long-Term Control Plan Update 2022, and 2, Project 2019-01, Mill River Sewer System Evaluation Survey for areas 6, 13, and 19 in Hamden, as further described in the exhibit to agenda item number 6, are hereby approved, and the Executive Director, Sidney J. Holbrook, be and hereby is authorized, empowered, and directed for and on behalf of the authority to negotiate, execute, and deliver such application and agreement and any and all reasonable and necessary documents in furtherance thereof.
Thank you, Clayton.
That's all one sentence.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second for you.
Thanks, Bob. Okay, Tom?
Yep, thanks, Mr. Chairman. This is very simply wrapping the last 2 projects that I talked about into a bow and putting it in a package and allowing Sid to execute all the documents associated with it so we can deliver it to DEP and they can give us a planning grant for 55% fund grant funds for these 2 projects. We like to keep things efficient. We wrap them together so we don't have multiple agreements, and it worked out well as far as the timing goes. So the 2 projects, the 1.3 million is the total sum of the costs. It's not just the authority's portion. So our portion will be 45% of that total.
Great. Any questions for Tom?
No, good deal.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously as well. Item 7 is department transfers. Clayton?
Is there anything to actually read? I think this is Gabe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a resolve.
Resolved that the department budget transfer request as described in the exhibit to agenda item 7 are hereby approved.
So moved.
I don't have that in my package, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
That's why I couldn't read it.
Who moved it?
I'll move it.
Mike, is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Joyce.
So basically, we have 2 transfers. The first one is for 100,000 from the pump station improvement. The VFD is variable frequency drives to the compactors and conveyors at the boulevard, and this is money to cover changes in the design and scope. These new conveyors have really worked out really well for us, and we expect to have them in service for a long time. These projects, we're moving forward into the Inlet Works building, the boulevard pump station replacement will not be for several years after East Street, probably every bit of 7, 8, 9 years away. So, and keeping up with what needs to take place out there, we're finishing up this for the new conveyors and compactors. The second one is for 60,000, comes from two accounts: engineering, surveying, architecture, and other contractual, and transferring them both to on-call. And this is to transfer unused funds from engineering operations accounts to pay for on-call services related to repairs in the collection system and infrastructure. This time of year, we start seeing some of the things. We're actually in the budget process for next fiscal year right now. Very conscious of what's going on with the COVID thing and the state's reduction in the interest and the changes in the flow. So we're taking a very conservative approach to everything related to the budget, and we'll be doing that until we're well clear of all the issues that are plaguing us in these current times.
Thanks, Gabe. Any questions for Gabe? Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? That passes unanimously as well. Item 8.
Item number 8, resolved that the agreement with RSM US LLP for auditing services for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021, as previously approved by the board on May 12th, 2020, for an amount of $70,000, is to be increased by $3,500 for an aggregate increase amount not to exceed $73,500, as further described in the exhibit to agenda item number 8, is hereby approved, and the executive director, Sidney J. Holbrook, be and hereby is authorized and empowered for and on behalf of the authority to negotiate, execute, and to deliver such agreement and any and all reasonable and necessary documents in furtherance thereof.
Thanks, Clayton.
So moved.
Who's that?
Sal.
Sal.
Sal, thanks, Sal. Second?
Second.
I'll second for you.
Okay.
So this is, Steve, this is an extra 3,500. We estimated it to be 70 because of some increased scope of service. It came in at 73.5, so we need to go back to the board for the other 3,500. The increases are requirements by the state of Connecticut and some extra work that takes place in regards to our FEMA grants that we got last year. So the cost of the audit is up $3,500.
So it's up for extra work, not just an increase.
Yes.
And this is not increased before, right?
No, I mean, it depends on the amount of work. It's gone up or down. It's usually in the neighborhood of 70,000. The 73.5 is the highest, but it's the most entailed work to date.
Okay. Any questions for Gabe? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. So we're on to item 9, which is our executive summary, Sid.
Yes, hello, Stephen. Things here have been pretty busy, actually. Zoom meetings, now that everybody's figured out how to do these Zoom meetings, there's a lot of meetings, and there's a lot of work being done here at the authority. I'd like to just for a second follow up on what Gabe was saying about the budget. We had a meeting yesterday, myself, Gabriel, and Lou Criscolo. And I got to say that after reviewing everything and conversations related to what we are anticipating over the next year, I think I've got to say we're in a good place. We've been very conservative in how we spend our dollars. We've been very conservative in how we estimate we're going to be spending our dollars in the course of the next year and the projects we are planning. So I feel very comfortable in telling you that I don't anticipate any issues going forward. And that's something that you can take some comfort in yourselves. Let me start with this. Over the course of the last few weeks, we've done 3-4 pieces of legislation that have been put in, 2 by Senator Looney, that have a direct impact on our authority. We asked for a meeting with the new chairman of the Environment Committee, who is Representative Borer from West Haven. Gabe and I were on a Zoom call with her, and I think that meeting went very well. She was very interested in what we're doing here and asked point blank if there's anything that she could be helpful with. And we thanked her and we told her we would probably be getting back to her. She did discuss with us Senator Looney's bill that relates to Sewage Spill Right to Know Act. That's what it's called. This is called the Sewage Spill Right to Know Act. And that was put in by Senator Looney. And we feel it's in direct relationship to what happened with up on the Mill River spill. As we told Save the Sound when they talked about this bill, we told her that we would be as helpful as we could with this. If there's any concerns about the way that the notifications were done from the authority, we certainly want to resolve those. And she said to us that no, she understood that through her conversations with the Department of Environmental Protection and Energy, Department of DEP, that she knows that we followed the law and we reported correctly. So that call, like I say, went very well. We've asked our lobbyist, Melissa Biggs, to try to establish a meeting with, or set up a meeting with Senator Looney, because we do want to discuss not only the legislation that he's put in, but any other issues that he may have that relate to us. Another bill that's been put in is that will have an effect on us also is the sewer assessment or in arrears and foreclosures. That's the name of the bill. An act concerning sewer assessment and arrearages and foreclosures. And that bill says that it prohibits the foreclosure on owner-occupied dwellings for sewer-related bills that are in the rear for less than $10,000. Now, if you figure how long it takes us to get a bill up to $10,000 in that category, where does it usually run, Gabe?
500 a year, so 20 years.
20 years.
Conservatively.
So that's not realistic. And I don't know if the senator knows that. So that's one of the things we want to have a conversation with him about. Another bill that I'm particularly interested in, might not be of interest to a lot of you, but there's a Blue Plane committee that I've been on for, 3-4 years now. It's finally got to the House, and what it does is basically establish use areas in Long Island Sound for all the different competing uses. It's not regulatory, it's just a planning tool. But that's finally made it to the agenda. The coat drive, believe it or not, we had the best year ever. We've collected over 400 coats and 200 other pieces of winter apparel, such as gloves, scarves, and hats. So we got up to 600 pieces, and we're putting out the last of it this week. I mean, it's been kind of a challenge with the schools being closed to get it all out. We did work with the people at the that are doing the COVID testing. They're getting it out too. So it's worked very well. And Bridget Buckley, who is kind of like in charge of it downstairs in engineering, I want to give her a big kudos for the work she did. And she really enjoys it, and she does a great job with it and coordinating the coats coming in and the coats going out. I'm glad to report that no one here has COVID and nobody's family has COVID. So if you're near wood, knock on it. And this week we start, because of Gabe's involvement with the lady across the street and her testing of the COVIDs. Now we're getting into the vaccine. We have some of our employees this week starting to get their vaccines, and we're working that through that group. What's the name of that group again?
Fairhaven Community Health.
Yeah. So they'll be getting their shots starting this week. So I'm glad about that. That's going to take place. And then, so that's really all I have to talk to you about tonight, but it's all relatively good.
Very good. Any questions for Sid?
I was just wondering, Jeff Ginsburg here, about the lawsuit that was filed against us, and I don't want to cause us to go into private session.
I don't even bring it up because I'm afraid if I bring it up, something will happen. But as of this date, we've not heard anything.
So they sent us the notice to file, but they never formally filed.
Yeah, they sent us a 60-day. You knew that, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Letter of intent. Yeah, and since that 60 days is up, we haven't heard anything. So I don't discuss it. I mean, we're ready for any kind of discussion they want to have on it through our attorney. So that's where we sit with that, Jeff.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Steve, just a quick note I wanted to mention, because as Tommy was going through his projects, I was adding up the grant money. So out of those 3 projects, the grant side, the total free money is over $1.5 million.
Yeah, wow. Excellent. And it's a lot of important work too.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
Any other questions, concerns, comments related to the?
Hey, Sid, how did that bill that limited when you could go after, people in arrears, how did they come up with $10,000?
I have no clue. We haven't had that discussion yet. That bill's really hasn't moved anywhere. It's in the committees right now, hasn't been raised for a public hearing yet. We're ready to submit testimony at the public hearing as to what our concerns are and what how onerous it would be for us to be in that position.
It's sort of weird, isn't it? It doesn't affect a lot of people, I wouldn't think.
No, but you know what it does, Steve? Our concern really, well, first of all, we work with anybody who can't pay their bill. We will work with as long as they contact us. So
yeah, of
it's
course.
not really an issue for people, especially homeowners who contact us. But the big concern is that will have a direct impact on our credit rating. Because basically what it says is people don't have to pay their bill and we don't have a recourse.
Any recourse?
So that's a significant problem.
Yeah, we just got our rating
Increase
pushed up, and something like this comes into play. I'm sure they're going to see it and have an impact on that, or it could have.
Could.
Well, the other thing is, just from a practical point of view, if people understand that they don't have to pay that bill for 20 years because our policy is so lenient, why would they pay it?
Well, that's a good question, and we hope to have that conversation with the senator, with the.
I mean, sometimes they put in something and they're looking for other avenues of pursuit for resolve, and that's fine. I mean, we'll take part in it. I mean, anything we can do to help the community, especially the homeowners, we'll be a party to.
Yeah, I just don't know why somebody started that, but again, unintended consequences. And fortunately, we have someone watching these things, so.
Thank God.
Stephen, I haven't been a legislator myself. I understand probably why the senator put it in. I mean, there was an article there's been a few articles about this, and the articles really don't represent facts very well and tell the whole story, even though we tried to have the conversation with the media to what it means. But he probably figures, this is something that's of a concern to him and his constituents, and he wants to resolve it, and he put something in that at least will start a discussion. I'm not too concerned that it'll come out, it'll end up being a bill that will be voted on and in the form it's in now. So we'll wait and talk to the senator and see what happens.
Okay.
I have a point of interest to bring up. I don't know if anybody saw this, but a Yale public health student was shot and killed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that student, it was written in the newspaper, was doing a study on the presence of mercury in fish in the Housatonic River.
Oh.
He was from the environmental school.
Yeah.
So
Those two.
that department is presently examining the question of whether there's mercury being discharged into the, can they prove that mercury is being discharged into the Housatonic River? I was wondering if anybody had any reaction to that.
Doesn't have to be discharged now, I think. Heavy metals can sit there, right? Gary, do you know?
Right, yeah, the heavy metals, well, the big one in the Housatonic has always been the
PCBs.
PCBs up in there in Springfield from the General Electric.
Pittsfield.
I mean, yeah, but, usually mercury though, one of the issues is there's atmospheric deposition from all of the coal burning and stuff like that put mercury in the air, and then it goes into that. So, why he's checking on the Housatonic, I don't know of any, single point of mercury injection into the river there, but I think he's probably, studying for that. I'll have to look into that to see why.
Yeah, I'm wondering what piqued his interest. Why are they studying that?
I think that there's mercury found in a lot of the fish. I know in New Haven, there are signs posted every so often that fish aren't always safe to eat, fish out of the rivers, because they have a certain level of mercury.
Right.
The thing is that when mercury is deposited, it's not reactive until it's methylized by a bacteria. And when you make methyl mercury, it's dissolved, it goes right into the water and right into cells. So I don't know if they were studying it because of the concentrations in fish and if it's safe to eat or not. But, it's worth looking at.
Yeah, Jeff, that conversation has been taking place for years. I remember when I was in the legislature, there was a gentleman that showed up every year who had a PhD, and he was trying to get laws passed that prohibited the sale of certain fish in the state of Connecticut, and wanted the notification placards put in all fish markets related to mercury. But as been said, mercury is ubiquitous, and it is in certain fish, and it is a concern. But I don't know. It's like a lot of other things that are unfortunately in our air and in our water. There's not much that you can do about it, and I wouldn't. But they're always looking at it. Maybe this guy was associated with that PhD that he's doing. Another thing I want to tell you was that Gary has been attending our both the West River group and the Mill River group. And there's another one you're on too, right? What's the other one? Is that it?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And as our representative, and I think he's done a really good job for us in representing us there. And Representative Bohr was unaware of one of them, and we've enlightened her to what they're doing and what kind of work, God bless you, what kind of work we've done in the West River, slowing down the outfalls, dealing with the outfalls. Thank you, Gary.
No problem.
Thanks, buddy.
Steve was on that one last night at Mill River.
Steve was on last night?
Yeah, Mill River.
Yeah.
Yeah, every year they give an update for Hamden residents who were concerned when they built that plant and have been following it ever since.
Yeah.
But they go into rainfall too, and what the concern was, the draw on the river and drawing it down in terms of impacting the ecology there, the lower Mill River area. So they give those totals. It's kind of interesting to follow what happens water-wise over the year. But they're obligated for, there's a whole plan. They're obligated for specific releases if the water level drops, so that they maintain the ecological balance and following the dam. So good people do that. The water company. There's a bunch of people involved in working on that and monitoring it.
Good.
But I do it because it's Hamden and I'm also on the water authority.
Okay, that's what I have. Is anybody else have anything they want to ask, comment on?
On that number.
Okay, do we have any new business?
Emailed them and called them, he didn't answer. No, we don't, Steve.
Okay. And is there anybody else in public on?
I don't know who that is, that number.
Any public making comments? No, Steve.
Okay, then I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Second.
Second.
Thanks, Russ. Thanks, everybody. We're adjourned.
All right, stay safe.